Get started. My name is Stephanie Buchanan. I'm one of the investor relations managers here at the United Way of Racine County. I just wanted to thank you all for joining us today on your lunch hour to hear a little bit about the Transitional Living Center out in Burlington. We have Kristen and Mary here joining us. Kristen is the executive director and has been with the organization for 12 years. And Mary is the secretary of the board. So welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So first, can you tell us a little bit about your organization?
So TLC is Western Racine County's shelter dedicated to meeting the needs of homeless families. We serve as the first responder when a crisis arises. We not only offer shelter, but we can offer programming as well that will help the individual to become self-sufficient and work towards living independently.
Okay. And so can you talk a little, what's your mission? Do you have a mission statement?
TLC's mission is to provide individuals temporary shelter and basic necessities while assisting them in developing the skills to be self-sufficient, gainfully employed, and live independently.
Okay, perfect. And can you go into a little more detail about the services you provide?
Sure. By making available temporary shelter for those in need, it kind of gives the individual time to make life changes with the goal of becoming self-sufficient. So ways in which we can help them improve in our program would be getting the children enrolled in school, increasing their income, developing basic living skills, addressing any addiction issues, learning more effective coping skills, and gaining financial independence. We deal with every aspect of the person's life and provide programming or services to help them so that when they, get out on their own, they can live independently and obviously be a positive contributor to the community.
Yes, and I'd like to add to what Kristen said is that it's not a one size fits all. Each program is individualized to meet the needs of that particular person. So looking at their baseline and what their needs are, their program is individualized to meet those needs because everyone's definition of independence is different. And so I think that's one of the biggest strengths of TLC.
Great. Okay, and what is your vision for the future of TLC? Mary, I know you wanted to speak about
Yes,
that.
I did, because in looking at the history, since 1993, when it was just a small duplex in Burlington that served a limited number of women and children, to their move into Burlington and now their move out to Kansasville, you see the growth opportunities because the need is real. And I think that the board realizes that this problem of homelessness is not going to go away and it will probably grow. And what we're seeing is a need not only for women and children, but adult males, a family that's intact with mom and dad. So I think the vision, I don't know how far in the future, would be to have a facility that was dedicated to a shelter that could house men and women and families.
That would be wonderful. So how many people, how many families can you fit in the shelter that you have right now?
Our capacity at Dover is 12 individuals. That actually is a decrease from what our facility was in Burlington. That was 16 individuals.
And you said you just moved to Dover as of July 1st?
July 1st, we took
Okay.
occupancy, correct.
And so you said you touched a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about your history. You guys started in when?
In 1993.
Okay. And how long has United Way funded TLC?
Over 10 years.
Okay.
We've received funding.
Okay. And so can we talk a little bit about what the day-to-day experience would be for a participant in your program?
Well, like Mary said, it's very individualized. So it depends on what the woman is working on, whether or not she has a job, might need mental health or mental health services. What? Oh, sorry, I thought I heard somebody. We may have to hook the children up with schooling, daycare providers. They may be seeing a therapist, someone to deal with their medications. So we look at what the woman needs or what the children need in our program. And the case manager then sets up those services or those resources. And then there typically is things every day that she needs to be working on. And so the case manager might be helping her with that, or she may be doing that on her own. And so again, it depends on what barriers they're working to break down and what they need to do to become self-sufficient.
Yes, and to add to that, I think that we're in a golden period right now because the residents that we have, the women have cars and can transport themselves to work. So that relieves some of the burden off the staff at TLC. And also the children are picked up in buses and taken to the schools where they're enrolled. So that's another advantage that we're enjoying right now. Because as you know, there's staffing is never enough and resources are always strained.
Yeah, for sure. How many staff do you have employed there?
Three.
Three.
So there's myself, that's the executive director. I work full-time. I have a full-time case manager that's here on Monday through Friday days. And then we have a live-in worker that lives on site and works nights and weekends for us. That's a little bit of a switch from what we had in the Burlington space. We had 4 nighttime and weekend workers covering the 108 hours that are needed. However, COVID changed that a little bit because they were able to go get, other employment. And so we ended up only having 1 person stay during that time. And so when we moved out to Dover, we wanted to kind of change that so that we knew we always had shelter coverage and weren't worried about hiring new employees. And so we adapted one of the areas out here, which used to be actually the old principal's office and the nurse's station, and we made it her living space. And we installed a sprinkler system to meet code. And so now our nighttime worker lives here on premise, which is very nice.
So are your residents from Burlington, or is it Western Racine County in general, or?
Western Racine County in general. I mean, we have seen a little bit of an increase over the last, I would say, 5 years from Walworth County. So about 13 to 15% of the people we do serve come from Walworth County, typically in the Lyons, Lake Geneva, Elkhorn area. But otherwise, yes, they are from Western Racine County. We do take federal funding. So if there is anybody that comes from within all of Racine County, so even from, the eastern end, we would have to try to accommodate them as well.
And then you said part of the program is trying to find them employment. Do you provide transportation if they don't have it? I know you said your residents right now all have cars, but.
Yes, we do. We do have a van. And so the staff is able to take them to work. Like Mary said, we're kind of feeling good right now because they do have vehicles. Otherwise, it was our staff that would take them to work, get the kids to school, daycare. We do take them to the grocery store on the weekends. We'll pick up their medications. So yeah, that's a benefit too of staff being able to do that with a vehicle, get them what they need.
Okay, so are there certain areas that you look to find, employment or, general vicinity?
We do try to encourage them to work within like a 15-mile radius of the shelter. And we did that when we were in Burlington as well, just because it takes a lot of time, obviously, for staff to be out and taking them to work and doing that kind of stuff. And when there's other people at the shelter that also need services. So we do encourage that. We work, I should say the employers in Burlington work really well with us. We've had a lot of success at multiple businesses that will hire our women. Lavelle, obviously a lot of the essential workers are like food service. Aurora Healthcare has been great. The school district or Aramark, which is their food food provider for the schools. So we've been really fortunate with that, with getting our women jobs. So yeah, we do try to keep them within this area, because our ultimate goal too is to get them to live within this area as well. That doesn't always work. We do have limited low-income housing on the western end. And so sometimes we do have to push back into Walworth County. They have a little bit, they have good resources for that. And sometimes we have to push back there. However, that doesn't mean that they can't continue to keep their job in Burlington or out in this area. But it would be better if we could find them an apartment in Burlington or in the western part.
Yeah. And how about the kids that are going to school? Do they need to switch schools? Like, do they all go to one school then, or you try to?
Our goal is to keep them in the school that they are going to when they become homeless. I think that's very important. Doesn't always work out that way. For example, we had a family with 6 kids, would have been 2021, had been going to Kenosha, but her resources really were out here because she had family out here. So she came to our shelter. Kenosha was great. Obviously, there's the busing that both of the school districts then take on the cost for busing and transportation. If a child is homeless and wants to attend the school that they have been attending. So we do work with that. We do have that benefit. Staff can obviously transport them if they still want to go to the school that they have been. At Dover here, we're really fortunate. We have kids here that go to Burlington, and we also have kids that are in Union Grove School District. And Union Grove, even though this isn't their area of service, they have been providing a bus for the children that go there, because they've been going there, for the last 10 years. Well, not 10 years. Sorry, she's in 8th grade, the oldest in the 8th grade. But so, yeah.
I don't know if this is a good time to interject the cost of homelessness, but it's a nice segue. I've done a little bit of reading up on this, and you know that taxpayers out of pocket
Okay, we'll wait for Mary to come back on because I know she wanted to touch
So
on that.
Oh, am I frozen?
We can hear you now.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
I think it went frozen again.
yeah. Okay.
So when Kristen makes the point, I'm going to go out and come back in.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, while we wait, I know she really wanted to talk about the impacts on the community in general, which I think is what she was referring to. Do you want to give us a little bit about that, Kristen, until she can hop back on?
I'm not really sure what she was going to.
Okay, I guess just anything that we're helping in the community by you providing these services.
Well, I think that when someone is living here and we're able to secure them permanent housing in the community, and we are getting them employed at local businesses and utilizing community resources, that's all having a positive impact on the community. I mean, the more that we can get them to be self-sufficient and rely on their own, financial, their own finances and stuff, it obviously is a benefit to the community.
Right. And I think that can be said in a lot of situations. Most people, everyone almost wants to be self-sufficient. Like they just need the tools to make them that way. They're not, nobody's choosing, the lives that they live. So
right.
Mary, okay, you're back. We're excited. We're just talking about the impact in the community. And I know you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, and I don't know. And if I freeze again, I'm just going to let Kristen run with it because it's so annoying that I freeze up. But I don't know if I gave you those statistics that homelessness costs us money. And even though it costs money to support homeless people in shelters, it's half the cost of what it would be if they were living on the streets. And so I think if we look at it as a financial win for both parties, I think we can look at homelessness in a different light. Instead of being a burden to society, if we lift them up, they can contribute to society. And that's the whole goal of TLC.
Amazing. I know you had Kristen, a story you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, I'd like to read it the way I wrote it I just presented this at an event. And so it's not going to be told in story, like in a story, but it's going to talk about the woman prior to her coming to TLC or when she first arrived and how she was when she left TLC. I am 39 years old. I was a Lake Geneva firefighter and EMT for 13 years. During that time, I was named Firefighter of the Year. I still see the face of the little boy I was not able to save from drowning. I still see the faces of those who perished in a fire. I still feel a rush when I hear sirens, but no, I can't help. I began to use alcohol to cope with the stress of life. It affected my marriage. My relationship with my adult children became strained. I lost my home. I am sad. I am homeless. I am TLC. So that was her description of herself when she first came to TLC. I am 39 years old. I work at Kohl's. I live in my own apartment. I see my children and grandson on the weekends. I still get a rush when I hear sirens, but I know it's going to be okay. I have been sober for 407 days. I am TLC. I think, sometimes when I read these stories or we talk about the people that are living here, when you break it up like that, you really see the things that they're dealing with. And it's pretty powerful. And then, obviously after they've worked our program, you can see the changes that they've made in their life. And that also is very powerful.
For sure. Thank you for sharing that with us. I know, sometimes we ask these questions, but to really get those personal stories really, I think, makes a great impact on people and really shows the good work that you're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes when, we're out asking for donations and talking about our program, statistics are great. And we have to have accountability, obviously, of what we're doing in our program and who we're working with. But for me, I always try to, bring it to the people that we serve. I get to know this woman and her children and, or the people that live here. We get to see them, excited about a job interview, or when the 7-year-old comes home and passed their spelling test, or when she's rocking her baby to sleep at night, or, we get all those joys. We get every aspect of their life, the good, the bad, but you guys don't get to see that. And so you have to kind of trust us on, who we're helping and what we're doing with them. So I think this kind of just brings a little bit more of a human aspect to who's here and who we're helping.
Yes. And I also think that it's not us and them, it's we. And in our economic times right now, there are so many people that live paycheck to paycheck. And then sometimes it's an illness or a mental health problem that sends them into homelessness. And they were independent and functioning at some point in their life, and now they're in hard times. And we have to realize that it could happen to anyone living among us, and that we need to be supportive and lift them back up to where they belong.
Yeah. Are there any misconceptions about your program that you would like people, to be aware of, or?
Well, I would like to jump in with the first misconception, and that is because we rented a building from Love Incorporated, there is a misconception that we are part of Love, and we are definitely not. They're two different organizations with different visions and different missions. So that's my input.
Well, that was my number one as well. That is very difficult. Even being here for the last 12 years, I think the last probably or 10 years, we have focused on trying to separate ourselves from Love Inc. They are a great organization as well, serving a very small population out here. However, we are not part of them, and we, need our own support for the shelter. And so, we've tried over the years to make sure that people understand that we are separate. I think another misconception is that we're taking people from, the bigger cities, from Milwaukee, Chicago. We're not. Like I said, the majority of the people that we are serving are coming from Western Racine County, small percentage, from Walworth County. So I think that was another misconception. And I think sometimes people don't have an accurate perception of what our program is. They don't know what we expect from our clients or what we're doing for them. And so we do try to raise awareness that we are a program. We are not just a shelter that they come and, just need a bed and somewhere to sleep. This is a program that they need to work, to help themselves. And so, yeah.
Yeah. So you have programming, do you have programming for the children as well?
We, obviously look at what the children need as well. So we work closely with like Children's Service Society if they need therapy. Obviously, if they need to be on medication, we're working with their health providers. Obviously, make sure they get into school and they're getting their educational needs being met. We do have a lot of volunteers that come in and do activities with the children. In fact, they're coming to do rock painting on Friday night, so they're excited about that. They did pumpkin painting last weekend, so we try to set up activities. We do get a lot of donations like for pool passes and that kind of stuff in the summer. We do want the children to feel as much of a normal life as they can, even though they're, living here at the shelter. So yeah, we try to provide services or resources, activities for them as well. Yes.
Yeah. What benefits do you see in being a United Way partner?
I would say there's several benefits. Obviously the additional funding, is very helpful, and we operate on a pretty small budget. Our budget's $250,000 a year. United Way helps us connect with other partner providers. And so, that's good when you're trying to find resources for your clients. And sometimes I feel like we're like stuck out here on the Western end. It's always good to have those connections on who else not only United Way is funding, but what services they have that can help, who we're working with. So that connection is great. I think accountability is extremely important. And I think you guys do hold us to a high standard on who we're serving, how we're serving them, tracking that information. And I think that that's good. Because, when people are donating to us or giving us funding, they should know, where their money is going and what it's being used for. So.
All right. So our next slide that we have here is just some ways that people can get involved. Here, is there anything you wanted to? I know you had when we were speaking before, you mentioned about the donations on your Facebook page. You put, your weekly or in need of most important things on there.
We do. We try to keep people informed mainly through our Facebook page on what we need or what is happening at TLC. I see the list that's on the screen here, and those are definitely things that we are in need of right now. With being at capacity, we do go through, obviously, cleaning supplies quickly. With winter coming, over-the-counter flu and cold medicines is always something that we're in need of. The only thing I would add on there right now is we have several children here, and it's always nice to have child-friendly snacks. Staff does help out with the children a lot here so that moms can get things done that they need to get done. And so it's always nice sometimes to just have, some easy snacks for them if us or a volunteer is watching them.
We're going to ask for questions in a few minutes, but I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about your upcoming events as well. Maybe explain, what those are.
The one that's coming up next week on October 26th is called Gather and Give. And it's actually an event that was started by LifeBridge Community Church, who is a great supporter of TLC. And the money raised that night is split between Love Incorporated, TLC, and a scholarship for the Burlington High School. And so it's a great event. It's moved to the Vets Terrace this year, and it's a dinner. They have a keynote speaker, and then they will give information about the three that Love, TLC, and someone from the high school will be there to talk about their programs and why it's important to donate to them. So that's a wonderful event. The fall fundraiser at the Cotton Exchange, that is actually another event that's being done, and we are going to be one of the recipients of the donations, and that is being run by Plymouth Church in Burlington here, and is going to be held at the Cotton Exchange. And that is a dinner, and I know there will be a live auction, and one of the items on the auction is TLC and donating to us. So those are both events being done on our behalf.
Cool. So please follow them on Facebook to hear more about what's going on and the upcoming events. Does anybody have any questions? You can put them in the chat. While we're waiting for that, I just wanted to let you know that we have one of these impact tours every month. So if you please join us to hear more about our other partner organizations. And then you can always watch them and share them online afterwards.
I would just like to say that we would love it if anybody from United Way would like to come out and have a tour of our new space. We're pretty proud of it, actually. Did a lot of work from April until we opened in July to get this space to, function well for what we need it for. And so we're very thankful that we can, work with Women's Resource Center, who is the landlord of this building, and be out here. So if anybody would like to come see our space, we're very open to that.
Perfect. Yes, we would love that. I'm sure there's a lot of us even on this call that would love to see that. There was one question. Where do you get your referrals from? Do people, walk in or?
Multiple sources. Okay. So Love Inc. And mainly that's due to, because Love Inc. is kind of the hub out here and serves like the general needy population. And so they do, go there first. And so Love Inc., we get referrals from probation and parole, the hospitals, mental health facilities, family members, the person themselves may call, schools, the school counselors will call and say that they're working with a homeless family. So multiple sources.
Okay, good to know. One more is, what's the average length of stay for families?
It changes. When I first started with TLC, there was a goal to kind of get people in and out in a 30 to 60 day time period. We have found over the years that that's not possible with what they're struggling with and what they need done. And obviously with the lack of housing available. So the length of stay has really increased over the years. I think at one time it was like 47 days. I know in about 2015, it was at 74 days. Now we're talking more like 4 to 5 months. Because if you think about getting a woman in here and you got to get her a job, or you have to increase her income in some capacity, that whether that's, get her on Social Security disability or W-2, or You ought to find the apartment. You have to save money. You need to get her on the right medication for her mental health. Get her some parenting. Maybe her car's broken down. You have to fix that. There's just so many things that you need to work on while they're here that that takes a while.
Yeah.
And so anywhere I'd say between 4 or 5 months is our average, or probably will be for this last fiscal year. But I have my belief is if they're working the program and it's just a matter of, trying to find them somewhere to live in the community, they can stay here. I mean, the more time they get services, the longer time they get to learn new skills, the better, because I don't want them to become homeless again.
Right. All right. Well, our time is up. I'm sure we could talk for more. I have lots more questions, but I just wanted to thank you again, you guys for joining us, and also everyone for listening in today.
Well, thank you.
Please follow TLC on Facebook.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.